Hello, welcome to our presentation. I am Vanessa and I will be introducing you to our case study. Today, we will be discussing methods to determine how consumers value service representatives in respect to their culture and gender. We have received customer data from separate regions on this topic and will perform various SPSS tests to analyze our data. When hiring sales representatives, factors to consider are the traits that make them most effective, which will affect the overall sales quota. Accordingly, we have set the aim and objectives of our studies as shown above. Our aim is to identify and evaluate suitable characteristics of employees in Asian and non-Asian countries. Furthermore, our objectives are to determine the importance of various customer expectations towards sales representatives' sales qualities, according to the customer's country of origin, specifically Asian and non-Asian countries. Next, our objective is to determine the relationship between customer race and their respective ideal working condition. Our first process is to perform a data cleaning process. In this stage, we will be correcting or removing corrupted data from our database. We begin this data cleaning process by correcting the typing error in country of origin responses, with the further assumption that Australia meaning Australia. Next up, we will relabel our data type for age from nominal to ordinal variables, number of people in family from nominal to ordinal variables, and overall satisfaction with the service from nominal to sales scaled variables. Lastly, we have counted our sample size as a total of 2,471 counts. However, we are aware of the error contained in our dataset through the attention test. In this attention test, respondents were supposed to click strongly disagree in order to suggest they were paying attention when completing the survey. Here, strongly disagree is represented by the number 1. Now, filtering out the responses in the data that does not contain number 1, we have found that only 1,830 responses out of 2,471 responses selected strongly disagree, meaning the other respondents were just clicking through without looking the actual content of the survey. Therefore, we eliminated those responses in order to increase the accuracy of our survey. Thus, our overall sample size is 1,830 responses instead of 2,471 responses.
Thank you, Vanessa. My name is Sion Ho, and I will be running you through the general demographics that we have identified. These demographics will help us understand the data in a more concise manner prior to conducting any necessary tests. So now with the data cleaned up, by using the descriptive statistics function on SPSS, we have analyzed the demographics in the order of gender, country of origin, age, and employment status. The results showed that there were relatively more male participants who participated in the survey, taking up 55.4% of the data, and the other 44.6%, as you can see in the pie chart, taken up by females. As for country of origin, we have grouped the different countries into two groups, Asian and non-Asian regions, during the cleaning process, where non-Asians consisted of 62.6% and Asians 37.3%. As for age, it was divided into the groups of under 18s, 18s to 25, 26 to 40, 41 to 55, and 55 and over. The most occurring group was found to be, as you can see in the bar graph, amongst 18 to 25, which consisted of 84.2% of the participants. And the least occurring group was of the age over 55s, with only 13 participants. Lastly, as for the employment status, we have found that full-time students took up most of the data set with 936 participants, as well as 51.5% of the data. And second most occurring group was part-time workers with 25.1%. This goes quite hand in hand with the previous analysis with the age groups, because we did find out that most of the group and the surveys were done by age group 18 to 55.
Hi, I'm Zoe. For question 1, I would like to find out whether the overall satisfaction will differ in 4 different scenarios. The 4 scenarios will be firstly, the service representative being an Asian, while the customer being a non-Asian. The second scenario will be both the service representative and customer are Asians. For the third scenarios, we'll be having a non-Asian service representative and an Asian customer. As for the last scenarios, we're having a non-Asian for both service representative and customers. The test we are going to run for this question is the one-way ANOVA test. The new hypothesis for this question will be the rating of the overall satisfaction is the same for all 4 scenarios, while the alternative hypothesis is the rating of overall satisfaction is not the same for 4 scenarios. The reason to choose to run the one-way ANOVA for this question is that the one-way analysis of variance is used to determine whether there are any significant difference between the mean of 3 or more independent groups. In this case, the 4 scenarios stated in the last slides. This technique can be used only for numerical data, so basically, we are comparing the 4 scenarios and their difference between the dependent variable, which is the overall satisfaction in our case. The managerial implication for this one-way ANOVA test is to understand whether there are any difference in the perceived overall service satisfaction between Asian versus non-Asian customer and Asian versus non-Asian service representative, so that we can take the result as reference when hiring service representatives. To explain this in more detail, take for example, if an Asian customer's satisfaction is higher if the services are provided by an Asian service representative. We should match our Asian customer with our Asian service representative. This can be done by directing our customer line to the respective service representative, such that we will be able to provide a better experience for the customer and hence increase the overall satisfaction. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca Chang. So for the second test, we'll be looking at how the service representative's attributes will affect the overall satisfaction of the service provided. We'll be using a multiple-level regression test, which is also known as the multivariate regression test. So firstly, we'll define our H-null and also the alternate. For the H-null, it is defined as the beta for all services attributes equal to each other, and they are all equal to 0, while the alternate will be at least one of the betas is not equal to 0. So for our equation, as you can see, is formed by the dependent variable, which is the overall satisfaction, equals to the sum of the constant and all the independent variables, which are the service representative's attributes. So basically, we have 7 service attributes, which include rudeness, secondly, whether the service itself is personalized, thirdly, whether the service is having any personal human touch, fourth, whether the service representative, in short the SL, sounded happy, fifth, if the SL sounded attentive, and also whether the SL seemed insincere, and lastly, whether the SL seemed arrogant. So why are we using multiple regression test? By using a multivariate regression test, it allows us to show the strength of the relationship between the overall satisfaction and the service representative's attributes. It also shows how the dependent variable, in this case, the overall satisfaction, is affected by those independent variables. Furthermore, by using the standardized betas, we're able to compare the importance of the different independent variables. The higher the standardized beta, the more influential it will be to the equation. So for the manager implications for this regression test, we are firstly to gain insights to which service representatives' attributes are important towards the overall satisfaction of customers. And based on this result, we are hoping to give managers recommendations on determining the level of resources to be allocated to each service representative's attributes, hence to increase the overall satisfactions of the customers.
Hi, I'm Li Yin. For question 3, we would like to find out what ways focus more on rules and regulations. The test we are going to use for this question is the independent t-test. The null hypothesis for this question will be there is no differences between the race and the importance of the rules and regulations. And for the alternative, it will be in opposite. That is, there is differences between the race and the importance of the rules and regulations. The reasons to choose to run the independent t-test for this question is that there are two groups that we have regrouped from the country of origin. That is the Asian groups and also the non-Asian groups. As the two groups are independent from one another, this will allow us to compare between the mean rating of importance on rules and regulations of Asians and also the mean rating of importance on rules and regulations of non-Asians. If there is differences between race and rules and regulations, by observing the means of the two groups, we will understand which group's mean is nearer to the scale of 7, meaning that the group care more about the rules and regulations, or vice versa. This can actually help the managers to decide whether to set up more rules and regulations for the employees or not. Referring to the Uncertainty Avoidance Index, which measures the level of risk-taking on uncertainty and ambiguity among members from different cultures, managers can use the mean and the group's rating to determine the level of reliance on rules and regulations to be accepted for its employees in different cultures. Managers can use the mean and the group's rating to determine the level of reliance of rules and regulations to be accepted for the employees in different cultures. For example, if the mean shows a high uncertainty avoidance index, that means employees usually work more effectively with more rules and regulations, and the company is recommended to set up more rules and regulations. And if the means shows a low uncertainty avoidance index, it indicates that employees will be best performed with given more freedom and flexibility, and therefore less rules and regulations should be set up for the employees that have low uncertainty avoidance level. In short, by studying and understanding the uncertainty avoidance theory as well as the result of the test, it will help the managers be more prepared to manage in an international setting and impose suitable strategies for managing the employees' performance in both Asian group and also the non-Asian group.
Hi, I'm Kathy Wen. Our group will use an independent t-test for the fourth question, which is there a relationship between the country of origin and the statement hierarchy of very importance in a social or corporate structure? Our new hypothesis will be there is no difference between the countries of origin and the statement hierarchy of very importance in a social or a corporate structure, whereas the alternative hypothesis will be there at least some difference between the countries of origin and the statement hierarchy of very importance to the social or corporate structure. We use an independent t-test is because we want to see if there is a relationship between the two groups in one question. The group variables is the countries of origins. They are divided into two groups, including Asian and non-Asian group. It is a nominal variables, whereas the testing variable will be the ratings on the importance of the hierarchies in a social or corporate structure. This is a scale variable. Rater will use scale from 1, which is strongly disagree with the statement hierarchy is very important in a social or corporate structure, to a scale of 7, which is strongly agree with the statement hierarchy are very important to the social or corporate structure. We are using the mean rating for the Asian group and the mean rating for the non-Asian group from a data set to test for our new and alternative hypothesis. The test will provide insights in whether hierarchy are deemed important in different ethnicity, such that the result help determine which corporate structure should our company use in different groups, especially Asian and non-Asian countries. For example, if the result shows that there at least some difference between Asian and non-Asian group on the ratings of the importance of hierarchy in social or corporate structure, this means that we should apply different organization structure in different regions.
By exploring the nature of the collected data from consumers in Asian and non-Asian countries, we were able to understand consumers' expectations towards SRs, services, and their ideal working conditions in the respective markets. Therefore, through this market analysis, we will be able to evaluate the appropriate corporate system as well as employee standards in Asian and non-Asian regions. Based on our results, we hope to identify whether cultural differences affect overall satisfaction and perceived SR attributes, and if so, to what extent. This will also help managers in hiring decisions and business strategies when expanding into Asian and non-Asian countries. We will refer to Hofstede's cultural dimensions and previous information from market research as a guidance for our analysis and the rest of our report. Thank you.